Now we are going to start with the exam paper of elementary, the first paper being object drawing, and the time duration for object drawing is 2.5 hours from 10:30 a.m. to 1 p.m. Okay, so now let's read the instructions for the candidates. Do not use mechanical instruments for drawing. Okay, so mechanical instruments should not be used at all. That includes your geometrical instruments or ruler or protector, whatever. Drawing in small size will not be considered. So your objects that you're drawing, only 3 objects are there. They have to be drawn big in size. It is expected that the group of objects should be drawn the way it is seen from an individual's position. So wherever you are seated, you should draw the objects as you see them. Now the next point, on the given answer paper, draw the group of objects, man-made or natural, holding the paper vertically or horizontally according to the requirement in big size suitable to the paper. Okay, so typically there will be 2 man-made objects and 1 natural object which will be kept in front of the students. Okay, so you have to draw the rough sketch first, then you have to do the final drawing, and then you have to do the coloring. And all this has to be done either horizontally or vertically. So mostly the composition will be horizontal. Now let's study the next point. It is important that composition of the group of objects should be harmonious and proportionate. Okay, so the objects which are kept in front of the students, they should be proportionate to each other. Characteristic form of the objects and the proportion of the objects with each other should be kept in mind while composing the arrangement. The objects can be manipulated a little bit. You can shift and change the object a little bit. You can even change the color of the object when you are coloring. It is expected to make a similar representation of the objects in the group while shade and light and suitable coloring. Okay, so while coloring you have to keep in mind the shade and light falling on the objects. Now the proposed color mediums are watercolors, opaque transparent, color pencils, wax crayons, oil pastels, colorings, color available in environment. So basically any coloring medium can be used single or in a combination. Okay, so next we are going to see how we are going to solve the answer paper. Okay, so now this is your answer sheet, A3 size cartridge paper with a stamp like this on the right side, on the back side of the paper. So you have to use, this is the front side. So first thing what you have to do is draw a freehand border like this. Okay, so once you draw the freehand border, then you have to start with the rough sketch. So the object which is behind, you can start by drawing that object and draw the rough sketch like this of a rectangle. Any object which is in front can be drawn like this, and the nature object can be drawn like this. So once these things are drawn, then you have to draw the center line for the symmetry. Suppose this is a bucket, then you can draw the bucket like this, symmetrical. And if this is a tub, you can draw it like this. and this is a coconut, and you can draw it this way, and a background line for the marking of the table. So this is how you draw the object drawing in proportion. Once you do that, then you can erase off the grid lines, and then you can start with the coloring. Now let us study how we are going to solve the question paper of still life. So this is the first paper for intermediate, and the time duration here is 3 hours. Okay, now let's read the instructions given. First one is, do not use mechanical instruments for drawing. Okay, so geometrical instruments, ruler, etc., they should not be used at all. Drawing in small size will not be considered. So your objects whichever are there, which are kept in front of the students, they have to be drawn big in size. It is expected that the group of objects should be drawn the way it is seen from an individual's position. So wherever the student is seated, you have to draw the objects as you see from that area, from that position. Okay, so first point is, draw a rectangle on the answer paper given to you, leaving 2 centimeter space horizontally and vertically. Frame all sides by hand only. Okay, that means for the border as well, you don't have to use a ruler, you have to draw the border freehand. Make a large drawing of the group of objects kept in front in the rectangle suitable to the given paper. It is important that the composition of the group of objects in the rectangle should be harmonious and proportionate. The third point, to make the drawing more impressive, you are allowed to make minor changes in the placement of the objects or proportion of the objects with each other or the size of the objects. Okay, so here it is clearly mentioned you can make minor changes in the placement of the objects, and also you can change the proportion of the objects with each other. Means you can change the size of the objects a little bit to suit the still life. Care should be taken to keep the creative rendering of the group of objects intact while drawing without affecting the characteristics of the still life. Color the still life in a suitable way as you understand. While drawing and coloring the still life, shade and light, texture and color combinations are the points to be kept in mind for a creative design. Okay, so shade and light is very important. Consider light is coming from the left side or the right side on the still life which is kept in front of you. For coloring the drawing, use the following color medium: watercolors, opaque or transparent, color pencils, wax crayons, oil pastels, colorings, color available in the environment. Okay, so all of these mediums can be used in a combination of them or separately. So now this is the answer sheet given. A3 size cartridge paper will be given like this with a stamp on the back side this way. So you have to turn it around, and this is the front side of the paper, and you have to draw a freehand border like this on all 4 sides, leaving around 2 centimeter distance horizontally and vertically. Okay, so once you do that, then you can draw the rough sketch like this. If there is a bucket, you can start by drawing the bucket like this, then draw the drapery below. Any object that is there on this level can be drawn. Any objects that are there behind, you can draw them like this. Objects that are on the plate, like some fruits or vegetables, can be drawn like this. mug. Okay, so once the rough sketch is drawn, then you can start with the final drawing. Keep the drawing as light as possible. You may have to erase the pencil lines afterwards. This is a drapery coming out of the bucket like this. So all these objects have to be drawn when however you see the objects in front of you. Okay, so once the drawing is complete, then erase of all the grid lines, erase of the unwanted lines, rough lines, and then you can start with the coloring.